You ready, buddy? Hey, are you ready? Sit. You ready? Hey. Good morning. Corey from Rockpole, how you going? Got me little leg gaiters on because the other day we had a brown snake that we had to deal with just near the little chook pen behind me there. Obviously we live on 100 acres. There's snakes everywhere, and we like to keep a bit around our house cleared, so we have about probably an acre, I guess, maybe a little bit more. So come this time of year we do a like a final mow and a whippersnip and a bit of a clean up, and just to try and prevent if a fire does come through, we're as protected as we can be with like bushland and grasses kept down to a minimum, and B, snakes, because we don't really want to have to deal with snakes and dogs, because, you know, it may not end very well and that would just be sad. Alright, so we're down at the bore here. This is our, the dam is just over there, dam camp is over there, and the beaver dam is couple 100 meters that way. So these are just our solar panels for the bore. Very simple setup. Currently we only run off one panel, so I've got it wired so we can run two panels in winter, and one panel in summer is all we need. This is our actual borehole, 30 odd metres deep. Pump is down at 23 metres down, and this is the switch, which I don't know, I think the kangaroos have kind of been hopping around here and trying to get some shade under this tree, and the switch is all just gone bad. So I'm just going to change that, and the switch we're going to change is basically I'm just using a battery isolator switch. These are good for several hundred amps. Right, this one in particular doesn't actually say, but I'm going to guess probably 200 easy. And seeing as the panels only generate 8 amps, shouldn't be an issue. So I have a battery isolator switch on there now, but it's a bit of an old-fashioned one. It looks a bit, I've had it for a long time. So we're just going to go put this one on. So I'll go take that other one off and go from there. We'll just go disconnect this, maybe like that. And we'll take this little cable off. This was like one of those battery key type switches, and I think the contacts got a bit shitty in there with the water. So this is actually going to go on a post, but it's one of those jobs, you know, that you're like, oh, we'll get there one day. Let's figure out what we're going to do here. So do I mount that onto the face of that and bring those wires in? Didn't actually realise, but these are actually Allen key bolts. Oh, so are they. Huh. I don't think I have Allen keys in here. Oh yeah, we got one to fit the bigger bolts, for the bigger bolts. Oh, that might fit. Okay. Alright. We might have found a winner. Winner. So we'll just get this spanner, and I do look a bit cumbersome. One. Oh, two. Okay, so that's the old one. We will throw that in the bin because we know that doesn't work. And we're left with a couple of big holes in that plate, which is not ideal. Alrighty, so I'm just going to mark, where's the right way up? That's up. I'm just going to put that there, and we'll just trace around it. And I will just cut a square out of the inside there so those cables can come up and join into the back of that. Okay, so we have a hole for the cables to come into. Now what we need is to drill the 4 holes that bolt the switch to the cover. So hopefully that'll bolt on like that, and those other cables will bolt on to there, and then we can screw this back onto the box and seal it up. And we'll get my little screw tray. Look at that, hey? Nature always has something. That's so I don't lose my nuts and bolts. Now we can bring these two up here. Yep. And then we'll just take these bits out so we don't lose them. So basically it doesn't matter which connection goes on which terminal, because all this is doing is completing the circuit to turn the pump on. Always make sure your connections are tight. So I'll just put my little plastic, what are these called? I don't know. Little bits that just, little blank off plates. In there. Okay. So I might get a post, just a little bit of steel tube or something, and put in the ground and mount this on it. So we turn it on, and well, the bore should come on. How do we know that? Alright, let's go over here. So that's our bore. Alright, my next little number is going to get the ride on and give all this a final cut, because we're coming into pretty much end of the... I'll just take my earplugs out because it sounds all echoey with them in. Pretty much coming to the end of the growing season for our weeds basically. So we had a little bit of rain yesterday, not much, just a little bit, and then not really expecting too much. I was just watching Dozer, he's over there playing with the mulberry tree. Yeah, so we're coming into that time of year where it'll change season, and basically everything will start dying back to brown. And then once we hit kind of brown season, dead season, summer, there's no more machinery use in the paddocks or mowers or anything, because it's so dry that one spark from a mower blade on a rock and you could seriously have, within a minute, depending on the wind, a fire that could be quite devastating. So we like to get that all sorted out as best we can beforehand. So I'm going to put my plugs back in, my earplugs, check the time, no messages, No one loves me, that's alright. And we'll do a bit of mowing just in this section, and then I can bring the fire trailer back here, because this is the hose here. I'll show you how that all plugs in when it comes back. It's basically just an automatic filler, so we know that it's always full. Let's mow. I've just done this bit, that's good. If you're wondering why I was just driving around willy-nilly to start with, and you probably thought, oh, he's forgotten to turn the blades on. Yeah, no, I have done that a few times, but not then. I like just to give it a little bit of a warm-up, you know, get the revs up to about half, drive around a bit, get a bit of heat into the transmissions because they're hydraulically driven, and just manoeuvre it a little bit and drive around, get a bit of temperature in the oils in the engine before I hit the blades and into the mowing. So just something that I do. I'm a bit funny like that. Now I'm going to get the trailer, the 1,000 litre trailer, and we'll bring that down here and drop that off here. So I won't show you how to hook up a trailer because it's pretty easy. So all we have here is just a hose. Oh, actually I'm remembering now what happened. There's all these little things that you kind of, things happen and you go, oh yeah, I've got to fix that. I remember that now. Now what happened was this tank has a float valve on it. So normally this hose gets hooked up to the float valve and then it automatically fills up with the bore, and when the float valve hits, when the water hits the float valve level, it shuts off. But the float valve broke. It was one of those brass ones with the brass arm with the black plastic float, and it actually snapped the little arm where it joins the float. Must have been too much, I don't know, movement in it. So I bought another one, bloody real good one, it cost me like 80 bucks or something, and put it in. But what I found out afterwards is that it takes a certain amount of pressure to activate the float valve. And what was happening is because this fills from that tank, which is right there, so there's no head pressure between, well, when I say there's none, there's probably only that much difference in height between the water in that tank and this level here. So it didn't have enough pressure to actually crack the float valve to start filling it up. And then I went, oh bloody hell, I need to get another one. Just spent 80 bucks. I was gutted, you know, I'll use this one somewhere else. So then I just jammed the hose in the top, and turned the valve on down there, and we're filling. And then I normally set the timer for an hour, which I'll do right now because otherwise I'll forget. So when this is full, I'm going to go over to the drip system for those other trees and I'll fill that tank right up. Just drive this over, fill it up, and then bring this back and fill this up. And then that's good. And then I'll give the engine a check the oil, make sure that it's got a full tank of fuel and the air filter's clean, and make sure it starts when we want it to start. It is a Honda, so they are pretty reliable, but you never know, anything could happen. For example, went to start it one day because there was no fire, but wanted to use the water to water the fruit trees. This is like before we had the temporary irrigation set up, and I gave it a good pull and the pull cord snapped. So, you know, make sure you check your pull cord. So this is brand new. This was only put in very recently, so that's good. I've also got a spare pull start mechanism, this whole lot brand new in the shed, in case this one craps out, because you know, when you want it to work, you want it to work. You don't want to have to go, oh geez, I need that part, where's that part? That part's in the shed. No, I've got to order that bit, we haven't got that, pump doesn't work, shit burned down. Sensational. So yeah, spare one of them, new pull cord, check the oil, fresh fuel, check the air filter, give it a run. Coming up now, say this time of year, this will get used a bit more regularly to fill up that tank over there, and we also got to set up another gravity feed tank for the trees on the swale, which is a whole other project job. So this will get carted around to fill those two tanks, however often, once a week or whatever, however much water we end up using on them. So this will get run once a week for the next couple of months, which is good. You can see all these bushes, all these natives that were planted here last year. Was it last year? Yeah, I think it was last year. On this berm. So, but they're all a bit overgrown with weeds. Now it does have a poly pipe running all the way, and each one of these bushes has a dripper on it. So I've got to go do a little bit of weeding around each one to find the dripper. So when I turn the tank on, the gravity fed tank, then I can come back and just check them all to make sure they're all working correctly, and those that are not, change, and the ones that are good, leave. So what happens is just over the time of them being there with moisture in it, you get like a lot of these little tiny ants that crawl in there and kind of block it up. So hopefully that's not the case. So I'm just going to wander down the end here, have a little poke around with this, and see what I can find. Okay, so all we've got here is just two IBCs. This one is empty, it's just a stand to get this one higher off the ground. I'll plug into the fire trailer to fill it with, just through the top up there. And we have a bit of a makeshift filter here. So all it is some Scotch-Brite pads, right, inside a bit of pipe, and it's pretty clogged up. So that's handy. So we might just need to rinse these out. Just chuck them back in here. Just a bit of 90mm stormwater pipe, like 2 end cap bits that are threaded with caps, and then just a little poly pipe fitting. I just drilled a hole and screwed it in. It does leak, but that doesn't matter. Only goes on for say an hour a day. So that's them jammed in there, and then any crap in this tank gets caught in that, and I usually just pull it out and clean the top 1 or 2. A bit of that, we'll turn that on. If we walk down the dripper line, it should be coming out in those drippers. I know it does take, because it is gravity fed and there's not much head pressure, it does take probably about 5 minutes to fill this whole line with water. But I can just see some drips and some wet patches happening now. Yeah, so that one's right in there. That's looking good. Oh, yep, there we go. Dripping out. Okay, we've got one here that's not working at all. So I'm going to pull it out. Alright, so we got water coming out. So I just gave it a little bit of a blow through. So hopefully if I put this back in, nothing. Alright, I'm just going to go get another dripper. We'll pop that one back out again. We'll get the new one and we'll poke it back in again, and now it's working. Alright, thanks for joining me today. I was doing a little bit of mowing while the batteries are on charge and whatnot, and of course the mower ran out of fuel. It's actually quite thirsty on fuel. More than my other mower, probably because it's like a 2-cylinder engine, but it goes well. So that was it. It's about 3 PM today, and we got a bit done. I know that I need some more drippers and need to organise something with that filter on that tank up there to work a bit better, but I'm going to sign out now. Thanks for coming along, and I'm just going to fuel up the mower and going to do another hour or so of mowing, and then that'll be it. It will. Cheers folks. Thank you. See you on the next one. Bye.